With 3 weeks of regular season baseball left, there's still tons of unanswered questions, like which team will win the AL West and who will win the NL wildcard race between the D-backs, Marlins, Reds, and Giants. But we also have some big-time awards that are still awaiting a clear winner. Last week, I highlighted the incredibly tight MVP race between Ronald Acuña Jr. and Mookie Betts, while also giving a history lesson on the closest MVP races ever. Understandably, this topic sparked quite the debate in the comments section, with fans giving their case as to why Acuña or Betts should win. But very quietly in the background, there is an award race going on that might be even closer in this 2023 season, the NL Cy Young. You've got Justin Steele, who became one of the best pitchers in baseball out of nowhere, Blake Snell, who can add his name to the history books if he wins the award this season, plus Spencer Strider and Zac Gallen still in the conversation as well. So because I like to cause chaos in the comment section, I figured let's run it back with the closest Cy Young finishes in MLB history, and then break down which pitcher in the National League has the edge right now. Before I get into it, welcome to the War Room. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight to it. In this video, we're going to cover every Cy Young finish decided by 5 voting points or less. However, there's one that doesn't meet this criteria that I'd like to add as an honorable mention, which is the 2009 NL Cy Young race. Although Tim Lincecum and Chris Carpenter were separated by just 6 points for first place, only 4 points separated Carpenter and his teammate Adam Wainwright for second, making this one of the closest 3-man Cy Young finishes in MLB history. This is also the only Cy Young race ever where the man who finished in third had more first place votes than the winner and the runner-up. This was made possible due to the point format the league uses for voting. Looking at the numbers, it makes sense why the voting was this close, and it's really hard to say that anyone got robbed. Wainwright had the wins, Carpenter had the ERA, and Lincecum had the strikeouts. As a fan or voter, I guess it just comes down to which one you value the most, making this one of the most unique award races in MLB history. Now moving on to the actual list, we'll start with the 2016 AL Cy Young race between Rick Porcello and Justin Verlander. Almost 7 years later in 2023, there's still people who think Verlander got robbed, and those people have a solid argument. No pitcher had a higher WAR than him that season. His ERA was lower, he allowed less hits and less earned runs in more innings pitched, and led the AL in whip and strikeouts. However, this was 2 years before Jacob deGrom changed the stigma around wins being a crucial part of Cy Young voting. So in 2016, Porcello's 22 wins, which led MLB that season, held a ton of weight. Enough weight to land him his first and last Cy Young award over a future first ballot Hall of Famer by just 5 points. Again, this proves that second and third place votes do matter, since Verlander had more first place votes than Porcello. Max Scherzer ran away with the NL Cy Young that season, which begs the question, if Porcello, Verlander, and Scherzer were on the same team, how many rings would they win? Guess we'll never know. Anyway, up next we got the 2012 AL finish between David Price and Justin Verlander again. Verlander losing in 2012 makes a bit more sense than the one against Porcello. Yes, he had more innings pitched and more strikeouts, but Price did have 3 more wins and an ERA that led the American League. Although WAR and ERA Plus existed in 2012, advanced metrics were never really taken into consideration by anyone at that time, which is why I think if this voting happened again today, Verlander would probably win. Fortunately for Price, this was 11 years ago, so he was crowned the winner by just 4 points, which again really makes you wonder what would happen if Price, Verlander, and Scherzer were on the same team. Now that would be a dynasty. In the third closest Cy Young finish ever, we rewind back to 1981, where the 20-year-old Dodgers lefty Fernando Valenzuela won by just 3 points over the 36-year-old Tom Seaver of the Reds. Valenzuela led all of MLB in strikeouts with 180 and tallied 8 complete game shutouts that season. Although Seaver managed to put together a 14-2 record, it wasn't enough to win the award. Valenzuela's 1981 season was historic, and he's considered by many to be the most improbable Cy Young winner ever. At the time, he became the youngest player in history to win the award, and to this day, he's the only man to win a Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same season. The 1981 voting overall is a very underrated pick for the best Cy Young race ever, because you had Steve Carlton finishing third with stats almost identical to Valenzuela, and then Nolan Ryan just casually having a 1.69 ERA in 4th place. Plus, it's not often you see 3 Hall of Famers lose an award to a 20-year-old rookie. 6 years following this, the NL voting was even closer. This time, Steve Bedrosian became the second relief pitcher ever to walk home with the Cy Young hardware in the closest three-man finish in the history of the award. Anytime you throw a reliever into the mix, the debate on who should have won heats up because it's impossible to compare their stats to a starting pitcher. For this season at least, it looks like the voters were very high on Bedrosian's league-leading 40 saves since he didn't really have any other eye-popping numbers. All I know is in 1987, there's only one guy that had really impressive stats in my opinion. That man was Nolan Ryan, who tied for 5th in the voting and received 0 first-place votes that year, despite leading the NL in ERA and leading MLB in strikeouts with 270. Just goes to show how much the voters took a pitcher's record into consideration during this time period. And at last, for the closest Cy Young race in MLB history, we have to go back even further to 1969, where the voting was tied between Mike Cuellar and Denny McLain. These two guys might not be as popular as everyone else we covered in this video, but their names will forever be in the history books as the only two guys to be named co-Cy Youngs. With this win, McLain became the first pitcher in American League history to win back-to-back Cy Young awards since he also won the year prior. Quite a funky ending to this portion of the video, but now it's time to talk about today. At the time of me recording this video, the top two favorites to win are Blake Snell and Justin Steele. While Strider and Gallen have both had incredible years, I think it's fair to place both of them outside the top two right now. Many people watching this may disagree, but here's my reasoning. Similar to the NL MVP race, Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman are having phenomenal MVP caliber seasons, but whatever level is above phenomenal is where Mookie Betts and Ronald Acuña Jr. belong. That's how I feel regarding Strider and Gallen versus Steele and Snell. Historically, their numbers would be good enough to win a Cy Young. But at the same time, historically, there aren't 4 dudes pitching this well in the same league at the same time. And when you have 4 guys this close to each other, you have to nitpick a little bit. Strider's 250 strikeouts, which leads the league, doesn't make up for his ERA, which is just under a 4. It might be hard to hear, but it just doesn't. If he brings that down significantly in the final weeks, I like his chances a lot better. As for Gallen, a 3.31 ERA looks a lot cleaner, plus he's on pace to finish with 200 innings and 200 strikeouts this season. But when you realize that Snell has more strikeouts than Gallen in about 26 fewer innings pitched with a significantly lower ERA, it's clear that as great as Gallen is, he isn't number 1 right now. Justin Steele is right next to Snell for the ERA title this season, though Snell has 56 more strikeouts in just 9 more innings pitched than him. While at the same time, Steele has the best record and ERA plus in all of baseball working in his favor. Because Snell already won this award with the Rays in 2018, another Cy Young with the Padres this year will make him the 7th pitcher in MLB history to win the award in both leagues. I'd personally give my vote to Blake Snell right now. I know 3 fan bases are going to get mad at me for saying that, but that's going to happen regardless of who I pick, so I might as well be honest. But again, there's still weeks left and these numbers are subject to change. You never know what could happen. I'm looking forward to seeing the comments on this one, so leave your pick for Cy Young in the comments below, and make sure any arguments are juicy and entertaining. But that wraps this one up. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I've been making MLB content like this all season long. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.